Hello, everyone. Power Everything fan. I'm Kim Singleton, considerate Black-led out of New York City, and I'm going to direct my question to Malcolm. Malcolm, your character seems to be stuck in the family business, even though you have this passion for the music business, but you still go along to get along. You follow orders. Share with us what your character may be thinking about his sister. Tell us what he may be thinking that's not being said out loud.
What is he thinking? Plot, episode 5. So how do I say this without getting in trouble? I believe the character is thinking that she's dangerous. And she's dangerous not only to herself, but to the family itself. And the very credence or credo that she gave the family, which is that it's about the family and protecting the family, is now in jeopardy. So he's having not only a crisis with her process of moving, but with the identity of what he thought he was a part of. So that's the safe way. I think I could not give away no plots without getting in trouble with Sasha. So yeah, that's what he's thinking. He's having a personal crisis with both himself and what he thought his family was, and with her actions jeopardizing herself and everyone else.
Great, thank you. I guess we'll have to see it unfold, but thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, good job, Kim.
Brandon Keith Avery with Just My Opinion Reviews in Dallas, Texas. And my question is being shot to Omar. Sir, what I'm loving about the season 2 so far is it seems like your character is getting a redo or a second chance on events that transpired in the first season. We all know that second chances are a blessing. It's not a guarantee, so you should take advantage of it every time it presents itself. So I want to ask you, in your long, great career, has there ever been a chance in your film or acting career, has there ever been a time to where things didn't pan out the way you thought they necessarily should or would the first time around, but they turned out better when you got a redo, when you got a second chance? And if so, how did you use that energy for preparing for the role of Howard that you're playing today?
Man, that's a great question. First of all, Cowboys, because you said Dallas. I'm a Cowboys fan. But in this career, you constantly face that. You constantly have to sort of reinvent. You constantly have to, in my opinion, you have to throw curveballs at the audience. For example, it's like when I did the show House. No one saw that coming, and it's like you have to constantly take chances and risks because it's easy to get boxed into. It's easy to get stereotyped, or it's easy to fall into films or television that people just get used to seeing you do. And for me, I'm an artist, so I constantly want to challenge myself and do things that seem outside of the box, but they don't seem outside of the box to me, because to me there is no box. But after doing this for 30 years, people can get used to seeing you a certain way, and it's fun to just sort of go this way, go that way, go up, go down. It's just constantly, I say this humbly, but it's like keep the audience on their toes, because they never know what's coming. And that's part of being an artist. One day you wake up on this side of the bed, next day you wake up on that side of the bed. So I love the question, because that's exactly what Howard is going through. Howard has gotten his second chance, and he's sort of, but what's sort of, I guess, nefarious about it is, the audience is going to have to find out, is it genuine or is he manipulating? Because, nothing corrupts more than power. And this is a character, pun intended, but this is a character who's used to having the power. So now that he's faced with not having it, it's like, how does he play those cards?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
No.
Jill Monroe, Access to the Life. My question is for Hailey. So we see Jukebox. We know that she went through a lot of loss last season. This season, she's probably the only member that's not technically in the family business, but she has a lot of family business problems and issues. So for her this season, what do you think is going to have a greater impact? Her outside family issues, or will she be drawn into what is going on with her family on this side?
That's a really great question. I think the cool thing about Jukebox when it comes to the family is she can navigate every single person in every single scenario at any given time. She knows what's going on. She knows the gossip. She knows the what's what. and she kind of she's the vault of the family. And so it was really easy being able to navigate that side of things, as opposed to all of the outside forces and the love she had never experienced before, the culture shocks she had never experienced before. So this season, I'm excited for you guys to see how she starts to navigate the world after all the loss that she's been through, because it's a lot different than before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Green, and I'm with Film Critique. My question is for Omar. I'm finding a lot of the interactions, the relationships that your character has very interesting. So I wanted to know if you could tell us a bit more about that without giving anything away, and how your character maybe sees things now and has changed after the events of season 1.
Great question. Hard to answer without giving stuff away. But I'll tell you this, he's threading the needle, you know, as everyone saw at the end of season 1. I mean, he was faced with like his mortality. And, you know, what people are going to see in season 2 is a version of vulnerability, but it's all internal. You know, externally, he still has to put on this sort of hardcore, you know, don't mess with me attitude, whether it's the police force or whether it's the streets, because that's his magic, that's his superpower, is he's got both. But now he's in a place where, you know, after being faced with mortality, you know, he's trying to figure out who he is on the inside, you know. And what I love about playing the character is, like, I kind of call him an octopus because he has tentacles everywhere, but every character has a backstory. And so I think emotionally, the audience is going to see him trying to piece that together. Like, how did he become this way? You know, and that's you know, it's going to be a fun ride.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Katia Woods with the Philadelphia Tribune and Couple Soul Show. Malcolm, Kim stole my thunder a little bit, but my question is for you. I feel like your character is the one that is most level-headed. You're thinking about the long-term plan, whereas Patina is thinking about, you know, taking power, and she just wants to rule, where you're like, these decisions have consequences, you know, whether it's the taking over the projects and going into New Jersey. And he's trying to figure out how to get through to her without, you know, compromising himself. How much fun was playing that? Because, you know, everyone else gets to be more outwardly, whereas with you, it's a little bit more internal.
Oh, I love it. It's great, because that is not me in real life. So that's just fun. I get all this. I get to get treated like I'm the sensible one in the group. It's awesome. I get to exercise part. Well, that's the thing about acting that I love. Omar said to Brandon's great question, is that you get to exercise parts of your personality that maybe you wouldn't have the opportunity to do as a regular person, because you're licensed, right, to do so in another character. And then you get to take something back. You know, I like to think that our characters hopefully give us something back sometimes. And I've definitely taken a whole lot of more rationale from Lulu, and understanding that ambition isn't always the answer from Patina's character portraying Raquel, right? Because I think that especially in this society, American capitalism, neoliberalism, we end up finding ourselves in this rat race. You know, we find ourselves dedicated to achieving more and growing constantly. And we never sit back and go, wait, hold on. Is it worth the price? And what is the price? What is the opportunity cost for ambition? And watching this woman who I admire and love both in real life and as a character go to achieve at the length she does often causes me to look at what I'm doing and being separated from my family and even the relationships we built on set with each other and going, wait, is it worth it? You know, are we doing the thing to edify and water the soil that we are as people, as connection, as community? And am I willing to give that up, and at what price? And oftentimes it's a hard question. It's a hard thing. And that's why I can't condemn Raquel all the time. But I also have such a heart for Lulu, because he really understands, I think, better than any of us in the universe, that like this is going to corrupt the very thing we're fighting for. And it keeps me on my toes as a human, looking at my family and my friends and going, what are we all working 12 hours a day for? Like, what are we doing? You may not be killing nobody, but you know, your spirit, you feel me? So that actually it's been fun. I love playing them. And that was a really good question. Thank you, Kat.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Brandon Council, Media and Popcorn Podcast. My question is for Mr. Epps. You mentioned earlier that your character has tentacles everywhere, right? And we know there's a power universe, but if there was a power multiverse, which character in any other series outside of Raising Kanan would you want to have a scene with and why?
Oh man, that's a really great question. Interesting question. Wow, you kind of got me stumped there. If there were a multiverse, I'd probably say Ghost. I'd probably go for Ghost because I think that Howard would either want to, play in a sandbox with him, but I think ultimately he would want to have power over him, because that's what Howard is all about, is about control. So I think he'd want to figure out a way to control this cat who's making all this money, but Howard knows he's doing this dirt. So it's like, but in a way of where, Howard's willing to go farther than where Ghost would go. Even though Ghost came from the streets and all of that, Howard came from a different set of rules from the streets. So he plays dirtier. So hopefully that answers your question.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Sharonda Williams from Pair Weight. Omar, this is for you. I mean, hopefully we can talk about this. I'm sure somebody can say something if we can't. But I really love, there's something that happens in one of the episodes in which, as your character is trying to discover how to show up in people's lives, that we talk a little bit about what it means to be a parent versus actually showing up to be a parent in your child's life. And I wanted to know for you, like, what is that impact of knowing that you're actually going to be able to show parents who may be estranged or who may be new to parenting, what it means to actually show up for their children?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful question, first of all. And through the character Howard, it's like, a lot of times in life we learn in real time, and a lot of times it's just about showing up. You don't have an agenda. You don't know what you're going to say. You don't know what the other person's going to say, but you're there and you're like figuring it out in real time. So for Howard to have suspicions that, Kanan might be his son, what does that mean? And that's what I said before about like backstory, like the way I'm playing it in my head is, what was Howard's childhood like? Was his father in his life? Was his mother in his life? Like, why does he carry these hard emotions? And then he goes through something that completely blows his world or his heart up. And so I think in season 2, the audience is going to see him figuring that in real time, because to your question, in real life, sometimes you don't know. You don't write a speech, but the important thing is you show up and hopefully the other person shows up and then y'all figure it out, and whether it goes left or right, at least you try, And I think in season 2, that's what Howard is he's trying to figure out how to try, because he doesn't have that toolbox. He doesn't have those tools in his toolbox emotionally. So again, that puts him in an internally vulnerable space that he's unused to and he's uncomfortable. But the bigger thing is when we're uncomfortable in life is usually when we grow, That's usually when we grow, when we're outside of our comfort zone and experiencing something we never have. And then we come away with that takeaway, like, and then you reflect back on it like, wow, I never looked at this situation that way, or I never thought this about that person because they present this way. And you can have a conversation with someone and they'll blow your mind like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that about you. Now you look at them different. So now you've got a learning lesson. So Howard's going to go through a lot of that season 2.
Thank you so much.
Dana Abercrombie from the Koalition. My question is directed towards Malcolm. As Lula, we're seeing a lot of the music business crossing over with the street business. And so I was wondering, if anything was to go completely awry, do you see Lulu protecting music associates over his partners in crime?
That's tough. Well, I don't know how much of the season breakdown y'all got, but I think this is fair. There's someone who Lulu takes a particular interest with. There's two people he takes a particular interest with in the music business this season. And depending on the nature of those relationships, I believe there are some people he would protect, but never more than family. I don't think Lulu like that. Now, the one person who I do think in the music business that he would protect over family is either his niece, shout out to Hailey, or himself, because he's still, he's Rock's child for all intents and purposes. He's Rock's child, and he's learned very well from Rock that self-preservation is key.
Hey, for Miss Kilgore, your character Jukebox is going through a lot this season. So talk about like her relationship with her father, and also like kind of going out and finding answers to life on her own.
Yeah, that's a really great question. One of the things I was the most excited about going into the second season was seeing how that relationship was going to continue between Jukebox and Marvin. It's very interesting. I think that's the most I can say. It's a very, very fascinating twist and turn between the two of them. They both have a lot of resentment. They both have a lot of anger and frustration towards each other, towards the world. And they're both going through a lot of stuff that's really difficult. So I'm really excited to see, for you guys to see more of how that turns out without saying way too much. And then, yeah, Jukebox navigating the world. It's like I said earlier, she's looking at things through a different lens. So it's going to be really interesting for you guys to see how she navigates people, how she starts taking on a lot of Rock's manipulative side, and she starts using that for herself. And that was really exciting for me, for sure.